band started in November 2011 when I began working on some demos at home on my own. After I had about 8 ideas flowing, I wanted to show Lee, as we had worked well in the past in other bands, and after he'd shown me his most recent songs he was working on, I thought he might want to hear what I'd been up to as well. He instantly loved the songs, and his enthusiasm got me excited. I asked him if he'd like to help me record these tracks properly and play bass on them. These demos turned into the 40 and Raygun EPs, which were released in August and November 2012. They was close to being put together as a full-length album, but we decided to split them in half and do 2 EPs, as no one knew who he was, and it was just a recording project. The music was flowing, but we were stuck for a name. We had a list of names scribbled down, and Lee suggested High Low after the Nada Surf debut album. Being one of my favourite albums from my teens, it felt familiar, and as far as I knew, no other bands had used the name. Once the EP was out, people were constantly asking us to gig, and the feedback was amazing, so it wasn't long until we was playing the songs live and building a fan base.
Good evening.
By January 2013, we was ready to record an album. Demos had already been built up, and there was a lot of ideas for what we wanted the album to be. In July 2013, we started a Kickstarter to help fund the album. With an overwhelming result, we managed to raise enough to help us get the album pressed and recorded the way we wanted, which was amazing. The rest of 2013 was spent writing, recording and working on the album. In February 2014, at the final stages of mixing the album, our drummer Neil decided to leave the band. We had a Kickstarter deadline breathing down our necks and a whole album to re-record. Me and Lee began work on re-tracking the album over 2 weeks. However, with this second attempt, it gave us a chance to tweak some of the songs, some of their parts and structures. We ended up with more songs to choose from for the final album, which has now made a big difference.
Yeah, getting the album pressed up was amazing. I mean, I've never seen anything of ours pressed up before. It looks perfect. Steve worked really hard on the artwork. Yeah, it's perfect. It looks amazing.
But the artwork was inspired by Winston Smith, who did Green Day's Insomniac, and we did actually contact him, and he did reply and was interested in hearing the album, but the contact kind of got lost in the end. I don't know what happened. He replied to me saying he hadn't heard from me, even though I'd sent him several emails, so don't know what happened. But yeah, eventually when we started doing the concept for the album artwork, we did it on the computer, and then we eventually did the literally cut out all the elements of the artwork, paste it all down, scan it all in, and built every piece of the artwork pretty much from nothing. So yeah, it took a lot of the time and effort doing it, and it did almost kill me, I think. It was definitely harder than doing the album itself, so really happy though the way it's come out. It's looking pretty sweet.
Yeah, there's been pressure recording the album because of the whole Kickstarter thing, knowing that people have already bought the album before you've even played a note on the album.
After we'd done the Kickstarter, and obviously we'd had a lot of people buying it and pre-ordering it, whereas before no one had heard of us, and we'd recorded everything for us, our own self really, just for us to listen to.
Yeah, I mean the EPs was just me and Steve doing what we wanted to do. Whether people bought it or listened to it didn't matter.
Having people buy it before and all they're expecting something good because they've already paid for it.
It's definitely a lot of pressure, but I think we pulled it off. The recording process was different because we actually wrote the songs in a room, played them loud, jiggled them about and got them to how we wanted them to sound, whereas the EPs were kind of just me and Steve playing songs that Steve had already wrote. So yeah, it was very different.
the Jazzmaster. I've got a couple, the Seafoam Blue or the Sonic Blue, and the white one with the custom neck, which I love. Obviously Raygun FX, homemade effects. Yeah, lots of fuzz, delay, anything really, anything I can get my hands on amp wise. But yeah, always the Jazzmaster.
Mostly Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Dinosaur Jr., all the bands I listen to today, to be honest. The whole grunge scene is just amazing.
Our Sneakers, we wrote originally 4 years ago. We demoed it down in the studio, like Lee was on guitar and I was on drums, and we wrote a rough version of it. We changed the chorus of it a bit later on, but it never had any lyrics, so that's why we never put it down for anything. It was meant to go on the Raygun EP, but yeah, it didn't have any lyrics, never finished it. And finally when we did, it was like, wow, this is sounding pretty good, and we put it as a download towards the album fund, which we started playing it live after that, and it just went down really well, so we decided to do it again for the album and re-recorded it. Yeah, I think it just ends the album nicely. Apart from the two older ones, Sneakers and Already Alone, I think Crashland was the first one. It was definitely the first demo that was finished, with Surf Tank probably being the second. I remember when we had those demos down and we listened back to them, and was like, these are going to sound really good when we've done them properly. Yeah, and that was at least a year ago now, I think. Yeah, obviously we're going to keep on writing and recording and demoing stuff. You know, it'll probably be a long time before, you know, it'll be a long gap before we do a full length album again. Probably be maybe another EP or something in between. Let's see what happens really.